A good martial artist does not become tense, but ready. Not thinking, yet not dreaming. Ready for whatever may come. When the opponent expands, I contract. When it contracts, I expand. And when there is an opportunity, I do not hit. It hits all by itself.
Being that I'm about half a Mick, I've always been a fan of the saying, if you're lucky enough to be Irish, you're lucky enough. But what in our lives can we truly attribute to pure luck? And then how do we distinguish luck from predictable randomness or movements of Providence? Well, I ain't totally sure where these blurred lines end and where clarity might be found, but one perspective I tend to give the most weight to is the idea that luck is the residue of design. Which of course means that much of what we casually call luck isn't luck at all. This concept is most attributable duly to the English poet John Milton, although no one can seem to validate that attribution, and then more widely to Wesley Branch Rickey, the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers who signed Jackie Robinson back in the 1940s. Now Rickey himself was a man of design. He didn't wait for some vague notion of luck to enter the orbit of his efforts. When Rickey hatched a vision, he followed through with decisive and strategic action. Action that mobilized all the designs of his ambition and imagination. Rickey was the first to design a framework for the minor league baseball farm system we now know today. Seeing the unnecessary risk of players having exposed heads in the field, he was also the first to require players to wear helmets. However, while Rickey rightly minimized luck and chose not to count on it, he still left at least just a little bit of room for its existence. He explained it this way: things worthwhile generally don't just happen. Luck is a fact, but should not be a factor. Good luck is what is left over after intelligence and effort have combined at their best. Negligence or indifference are usually reviewed from an unlucky seat. The law of cause and effect and causality both work the same with inexorable exactitudes. Luck is the residue of design. So if you're plotting your way as an entrepreneur, a creative seeker of the truth, or a person striving to actualize your most authentic being in the world, do not passively rely on luck or chance. Be intentional and design your path with as much specificity as possible. Let the design spin off its beneficial residue in due time. One way to minimize failure and move forward with intentional design is to follow failure rule number 4, build your thing 1 and thing 2 dependency. A strategy that leverages one or more enabler pursuits to move you toward a highest meaning North Star pursuit. This can be built in many ways. Comedian Jim Norton, a man who once played Quiet Riot's song Come On Feel the Noise on a boombox in a girl's ear on the school bus in an attempt to get her to like him, centered his occupational choices around preserving the design of his Thing 1 and Thing 2 dependency so he could achieve his Thing 2 dream of becoming a full-time comedian. Jim intuitively knew how important design was to the efficacy of failure rule number 4. It was discipline of design that helped him align with the fullness of his calling journey when he eventually actualized his dream to become a full-time comedian. Jim designed his career path in such a way to deliberately avoid any material distraction from his North Star Thing 2 pursuit. On the James Altucher Show podcast, Jim explained that because he was determined to become a full-time comedian, his Thing 2 dream that aligned with his true self, he refused to allow himself to be exposed to any other job option that he might risk becoming attached to. Jobs that might cause him to lose his inner self. Jobs that might pull him away from the magnet of his Thing 2 dream desire. So, instead of seeking out jobs that he might risk becoming comfortably complacent with, he chose dead-end jobs, grueling jobs, or jobs like driving a forklift that allowed his mind to be free while doing them. Jim wanted his mind free so that he could continue to plot and scheme his course towards his Thing 2 dream. Jim knew that luck is the residue of design. Entrepreneur, creative, and drummer for Blink-182 and the Transplants, Travis Barker similarly designed his calling journey path in such a way to not count on luck as a factor. On an episode of the Rich Roll podcast, while promoting his book, Can I Say? Living Large, Cheating Death, and Drums, Travis recalled a pivotal point in his early adulthood in which his father explained to him how limiting his options would be if he continued to get tattooed.
I get nervous playing in a suit because I'm so used to playing with no shirt on and just being free, and I'm wondering like, oh, is my stick gonna get caught in there?
This is back before the more broader acceptance of tattoos existed that is now more common within the world's power structures. Travis's dad was trying to deter Travis from unnecessarily limiting himself, but instead, he actually convinced him of the value of intentionally limiting himself. You see, Travis heard his dad loud and clear and deliberately decided that if he wanted to make a living as a professional drummer, he would need to slam as many other doors shut as possible that might tempt him to decrease decrease his focus on his goal to become a professional drummer. So in Travis's mind, getting as many tattoos as his heart desired was a great way to limit his options and help him wholly focus on his Thing 2 North Star pursuit of being a pro drummer. So that's exactly what Travis did. He got as many tattoos as his heart desired. And the long tail residue of his design is evidenced in his robust success as a drummer for Blink-182 and The Transplant. It is also evident in the residue of all the adjacent possibles he lurched into as he built a portfolio of pursuits around his drumming career. His clothing company, Famous Stars and Stripes, his reality show, Meet the Barkers, his wellness products, and his record label, DTA Records. Legendary martial artist Bruce Lee understood the necessity of design in his approach to manifest his calling journey. Bruce was granularly specific in how he wrote down his goals and the methods by which he would vow to achieve them. He built in trade-off assumptions and other hard and soft costs that he knew he would have to pay in order to abide by his design and reach his goals. This is a necessary part of a design mentality that discounts luck. Author of The Third Door, Alex Banayan, knows what Bruce Lee knew, that you must be painfully specific in documenting what you're chasing and designing, and you need to expect trade-offs and costs. As a young man, Alex was suffering with directional issues and directional confusion as he sat staring at the ceiling in his college dorm room. The son of Jewish Persian immigrants who fled Iran as refugees, Alex's parents had high and very specific hopes for him. He jokes that he pretty much came out of the womb with MD stamped on his behind. But the track normality of the pre-med college curriculum and the subsequent life it promised just didn't grip Alex. In fact, it pushed him away. It pushed him into viable adjacent possibles. Alex wanted to design a very different education path for himself in hopes of some very different residue benefits. You see, somehow Alex found himself deeply curious about how those with unorthodox career paths found their hook into success. There was no college course that taught students how to think differently and forge their own career paths in unorthodox ways. The ways that have led so many to greatness and uniqueness. Alex thought of Bill Gates. How does a college dropout find success as an entrepreneur and then become, for a time, the richest person in the world? And then he thought of Lady Gaga. How did she land her first record deal at 19 years old while waiting tables in New York City? And Steven Spielberg. How did someone who was rejected from film school become the youngest major studio director in Hollywood history? Alex became obsessed with this curiosity, and his obsession with those who created unorthodox career paths with no formal blueprint to guide them. Then Alex did the same. He decided he was going to be the one to study such individuals and present their lessons and mindset to the world. This was Alex's unorthodox path. This is what he calls the third door. The third door is the door that someone can bust through when the front door is too crowded and the back door is open only to those with special privileged access. As Alex describes it, it is the entrance where you have to jump out of line, run down the alley, bang on the door 100 times, crack open the window, sneak through the kitchen. There's always a way. Alex went on to employ the third door approach to design his own unique path. First, he used the third door approach to get himself on the Price is Right game show with Drew Carey. Then he used the third door approach to actually win on that show. The winnings then fueled his actual project. He went on to third door his way into interviewing Bill Gates, Larry King, Steve Wozniak, Tim Ferriss, Pitbull, Lady Gaga, and more. Never fulfilling his parents' dream of him becoming a doctor, Alex took the third door by writing the book on it and building a career around educating others on how to find and break through their own third doors. Alex knew that he couldn't rely on luck to achieve his unique mission of third dooring his way into interviewing and writing about those who exemplified the third door mentality. So he meticulously designed his plan and became joined succinctly into his own unique calling journey. The world is full of doctors. There is only one guy who teaches the third door concept. And now the residue of Alex's design continues to inspire people every day to bust through their own third doors. Author of Those Who Remain, G. Michael Hopf, said that hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. If this is true, it means that you have the power, like strong men forged by failure and hard times, to create long-lasting good times, value, and prosperity. This is the residue of your designs that others can benefit from. Now, the challenge for all of us is to be strong and properly utilize the residue of the designs of others that we've been privileged to benefit from by going out and then creating more residue to perpetuate the residual blessings of our thoughtful design. Else, the good times created by those strong people risk creating weak people that end up leaving no beneficial residue of their own. So, be strong and leverage design and intent to overcome failure and hard times so you can leave long-lasting residue of blessings in your wake, because luck is the residue of design.
Who's that? It's Mama Son. Looking for a bitch who took the money and run. Now the daylight's gone and there's no more fun. Hey, who's that?